Sault Ste. Marie has many residents who are very creative and funny, who can write and do it all. And we are talking to one of those triple threats today. Hello, JP. How are you?
I can't dance though, so I don't know how much of a
Ah,
triple threat I am.
oh, I'm sure we can get you dancing, JP.
I
JP,
can't really belt out those show tunes like I used to be able to.
well, maybe we'll get you doing that by the end of this interview. So you are JP Nathan, and you have written a book called Going to Wawa with the Old Man. And it's a great story. It is. It does reflect upon your father and his time as a doorman. Why don't you let everybody know what your book is about, what inspired you to write this, and what you feel about the end product?
Well, I think that there's a story to be told about the men and the people that have lived in this area for the last, I don't know, 50 years or so. And so I wrote it a while back and I put it up on the shelf and I posted it on, published it on Amazon a while back. And
Yeah.
some of my relatives read it and they said, well, you know, it's very indicative of the big guy, but I don't know how many people can relate to this. And I think that he's very much like a cross section of who's existed around here. You know, you see the people driving dump trucks up and down the road, and you see construction
Yeah.
workers around here. It's a blue collar town. I think a lot of people can probably relate to it. I'm going to try to get it up at the truck stops up and down northern Ontario, up and down the highway.
Yeah, that's a great
And I'm
idea.
going to get up, you know, all the you know, like the ones that we pass when we go to Toronto, like the Nairn truck stop
Yeah, yeah.
and you know, and maybe the souvenir shops up and down. So I thought that it would probably fit into a you know, place like that, and hopefully some people will pick it up and read it.
Yeah, absolutely. Once we started talking about the book itself, I thought it was a really great idea. So tell me a little bit about your dad then, as a doorman, and a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah, I was saying that in the pre-interview
Yeah.
that the old man was a doorman at the comedy shows around here. But before that, he was one of these people. He did everything in the construction trades. He was a crane operator. He worked at the steel plant for a while. Then he was a superintendent on construction sites between here and Thunder Bay. And he did a lot of the sewer and water and reserves up
Oh,
north. And he did the sewer and water for White River, Ontario, and Wawa, which is what this book is
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Us heading to Wawa in a harrowing snowstorm.
Okay.
And so, that's also what it's covered in the book is what it's like to drive on these highways. I think, you know, a lot of people forget what the highways are like for Canada because we fly a lot more than we used to.
Yes, true.
And, you know, that was one thing when I did comedy shows across the country, like the comedy season has to be around Christmas time. So the drives are always harrowing.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, and that's another part, you know, that a lot of people around here would relate to. We don't have a lot of literature written about us around
No,
here.
we don't.
And I think we do have a lot of interesting stories to tell. So,
For sure. Like
and I took it off the shelf and published it.
that's and from a Suite. I mean, how can we not go and purchase that book? What I wanted to ask you was why Wawa? Why did you pick Wawa as your
We
destination?
were
What's
heading
the
to
story?
Wawa that day.
Yeah.
The story is he back in the 80s he did the sewer and water for that town. Like he was a superintendent on a job that did that. So he was trying to. They were redoing the job that he did. Like it's been 30 years or something since the
Okay.
last time it was looked at.
Yeah.
So he thought he can get us a job there. It was kind of a pipe dream of his.
Okay.
So we ended up on this crazy drive. I couldn't talk him out of it. You know, for days I spent trying to talk him out of going up there because it was in February, not a time of year you want to be driving up to Wawa with your elderly father. And he couldn't be talked out of it. He was sort of like a Colonel Kurtz about it. You know, he had to go,
That's
and
good.
and he was going to go alone. So if I didn't go with him, you know, I felt like he was going to endanger himself, but it endangered me going with him. So it's quite the drive, and
Right.
it stuck out in my mind. So I wrote about it after he passed away about a year after this. And
Okay.
so it had a lot more impact on, you know, the people around us. A lot of people
Yeah.
showed up to his funeral. He's one of these people that he got to meet a lot of people in town because he
Yeah.
did residential construction as well too, right? So,
Wow.
and
Very.
you know, a lot of the names around town ring out. You know, like the Ken Piermans and you know the company he worked for was from Thunder Bay. It was called LeBrun, and you know these people in town, the people that built the city essentially. He did
Yeah.
the sewer water job
Yeah.
that connected the pipeline for the west end of the Soo out at Grocap. He
Yeah.
did that job back in the 80s.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was going to do a podcast about construction workers. 'Cause
Oh, really? And what
at
would,
one time, yeah, when he was still around. But yeah, so I figured, it's interesting to document, this era of blue collar worker in this town to be, I don't know, not that, to use general language
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Well, I think it's awesome, and then we can do, and we're here to help you any way we can in order to help market and get this out to there. And go purchase this book. I'm going to definitely. I'd like to thank you for your time today, JP. My triple threat. You didn't dance. Maybe in the next interview I'll get you to dance. Have a great day.
You too.